Hi and hello to one and all. Today I'm back once again to talk about the Indian economic slowdown. And tell you what, this is not a mere slowdown. This is the great Indian economic slowdown. And we all know that data can disappoint, but they never ever lie. And today I'm going to use these data to reveal the economic crisis of our country. Industrial and agricultural growth has fallen sharply. Investments are down or sometimes not even happening. Exports are stagnant from 5 or 6 years and now even sinking. Consumption has collapsed. It seems the only thing growing today is poverty, unemployment, and of course the frustrations of the youth. Let's find out the reasons behind this economic crisis. The two wings of the economy, namely the formal and the informal sectors, were hit by two hammer blows. GST, demonetization, which in fact triggered this great Indian economic slowdown. Now it's not hard to understand why the informal sector was badly hit due to demonetization. We all know that informal sector is mainly dependent on cash to pay its wages to workers. It's mainly dependent on cash to buy its raw materials, and as a result it is only evident that they are bound to get hit most. Another important indicator of the informal sector doing badly after demonetization is the fact that the demand for NREGA jobs shoot up just after demonetization, because people who were employed in these non-informal sectors were bound to go back to their villages, to go back to their places, and being rendered jobless, they were bound to demand jobs in NREGA. As a result, the expenditure of NREGA shoot up. Here I must make an effort to make you understand the importance of informal sector in our economy. In fact, our economy is predominantly an informal economy. You will be amazed to know that informal sector employs around 81% of our workforce. Not only that, they also contribute to 40 to 50% of our GDP. If the economy is badly hit, can the other remain unaffected? I don't think so, because they are the two sides of the same coin. Formal sector is dependent on informal sector for its goods and services. Formal sector is also dependent on the informal sector for the demand of its produce, for the demand of the goods that they manufacture. The reason is not hard to find out. I mean, as I've already mentioned, that around 81% of our workforce is in the informal sector. As a result, if their job is lost or they are rendered unemployed, which means that their purchasing power has decreased, which will again shrink the demand in the market. And this is what has exactly happened. According to NSO, the demand or the consumer spending has decreased to a record lowest in the last 40 years. It is down to around 3.7%. Let's talk about some other primary reasons behind this economic slowdown. We all know about the bank scams, one after the other. PNB, PMC, IIMS, and the latest to add to this list is Yes Bank. And tell you what, these sorts of scam has a very detrimental effect on the economy of any country. Now, let's discuss about its implication. Before we discuss anything, let me tell you one thing, that it is the credit. Credit is the grease on which any economy moves. If there is a liquidity crisis, then the economy is bound to stagnate and rot. Towards these banks that the companies or the businessmen look forward for finance. At the same time, these banks provide loans to the potential buyers of the goods and services that these companies provide. But what if these banks themselves are in sort of liquidity crunch? At that time, the supply and demand, both of them are going to get a hit back, and that's what is happening in our economy. We all know what is happening in automobile sector. The demand for vehicles has gone down considerably because the credit is not available for the potential vehicle buyers. Before IIMS crisis, NBFCs used to finance 50 to 55% of the total loans in the automobile sectors. However, after this crisis, the loans has gone down and parallelly has the demand gone down. What about the automobile industry? I mean, in the absence of demand, it is only natural that they are going to cut down on their production, which can render so many people jobless. And that's why in the beginning I said that it is the credit is the grease which drives an economy. Same can be said about the housing loans, which was around 22 lakh crores in 1890, and now it has come down to near 1 lakh crore in the first 6 months of 1920. This can have a very, very detrimental effect on our economy simply because it employs a chunk of our population in the constructions of the houses. Prompt corrective action, that is PCA, has also restricted banks from lending credit, from expanding its branches, and this has also added to the liquidity crisis in the market. If you look into the quarter 2 of 1920, you will not be able to make out how the government has reviewed the GDP as 4.5, where the major economic indicators like agriculture grew at near 2.1%, manufacturing grew at -1%, and construction at a mere 3.3%. So when these major indicators are so low, the question rises beyond doubt, how could the GDP grow at 4.5%? Even when we take a holistic view of the economy, we find that unemployment is highest in the last 45 years. The growth rate of electricity production has increased to near 1.8% in 1920, which is the lowest in the last 30 years. The exports are down to mere -1% growth rate. So all these indicators clearly indicate that our economy is in ICU, and the government has to take mammoth steps to overcome this great economic slowdown.